Okay, so more specifically, there's one particular trader here that did a really good job on his questions. So that's the trader that said, is there anyone you know that could point me in the compound trading tribe, extended family, who has recently gone from very little to possibly having a chance of making it to the other side, blah, 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 blah. And I said, in what manner? Financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, location, store value, etc. Most of our tribe is in those and many other ways. So financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, location, store value, etc. So what I was doing was pointing this particular person to the fact that there's more to this than just a trading group, right? So anyway, I'm reading the question and answer because I think it's a fair exchange. Like a lot of the questions, a lot of the people I deal with, this particular trader is very smart. So anyway, he answers, fair question and a fair response. I primarily mean financially. Agreed, it's all a process. However, from my current perspective, the location and store of value aspects are contingent on the finances, which makes sense, right? I've been actively working on health, emotional, mental, spiritual side of things for a long time and not fully appreciating the importance of financial wealth. I came from nothing, but starting in my late 20s, I got into a relatively high earning trade, lost it all, and regained it a couple of times. Well, that's the entry fee, right, that we all pay. Now I find myself on the upswing again, but know that it needs to be exponentially more efficient growth than my current earnings. So that's the challenge that we're all in, right? Because the golden ticket, the Willy Wonka chocolate bar golden ticket, is somewhere around 50 million. We don't know what the exact amount is, but there's a reset happening, and there's going to be, I mean, look, when boots hit the ground, and it hasn't happened yet for the most part, right? But when boots hit the ground, there's 12 white Humvees, 100 drones, and 3 choppers at your house. You know, what's the golden ticket? Now, I think it's going to depend on where you live, right? So us normal folk, so I'm in the same category as this inquirer, right? So I come from farming community, blue collar, very normal life. And how do we get there? Because if we're right, you know, not just me, but people like me, if we're right, it's going to take something like that amount. But it might not just be per individual, it might be like per group, right? So we're thinking in terms of around 50 million for the group. Possibly. It depends where you are. It depends on the scenario. It depends how well they pull off what they're trying to do, right? There's an economic reset for folks that are listening that don't understand that's in play and why I left my country 6.5 years ago. And that's what this is all about. Anyway, so he says, now I find myself on the upswing again, but know that it needs to be exponentially more efficient growth than my current earnings. So I don't answer his question directly. Here's what I said. I've always had less than 150 traders in my group at any given time. The average is high net worth, 5 million plus, but we have all. So we're for the most part a different kind of clan. Different than most for sure, in terms of trading groups, right? Doesn't mean we don't have the entry level traders also. It's just that for the higher net worth clients, there aren't a lot of services similar to ours, so I think that may be why, like in terms of percentage wise, right? We tend to attract the outliers, whether high net worth or not, but in saying that, most of our tribe is self-made. So the reason I'm saying that is that what I would deal with within our group and what others would deal with are completely different. So different trading groups, right? So different trading groups will deal with different things. Specifically with me, my trading group, our clan, I deal with everything from spiritual to health to life management to, it's everything, right? Because it's a community. It's not just a trading group, right? It's not just spitting gumballs. Anyway, the higher net worth folks know that money is made on the outside edges. There are opportunities, financially speaking. So they, the category of these people, would all tell you they've made significant money in our group because of the COVID sell-off. We knew 4 days in advance. The pirate chain buys at 28 cents. Then it ran 40 times. And then more recently, a few other tokenized projects. Now we're going to get into specifically one, and I'm going to talk about the outside edges of it, but I'm going to talk about that one. And then we're going to end up at Oil DeFi and AlienSuite.net. But anyway, so it's a bit different for me and mine than a conventional gumball spitting service. Most of my tribe are more about preparing in a significant way for the other side and creating real development communities in other countries, outlier developments, crypto projects to protect store of value, farms, business relationships, and things like that. I'm just kind of giving a perspective, right? Our current project, Oil DeFi, is a great example. They've already doubled their money in the last few weeks. We've had a number of those type of projects. So it's very multi-dimensional, but very boutique also. Hope that helps. And as far as their trading skill set, they would all tell you that they've learned things in our group they know they'll never find anywhere else, because we deal with machine learning and that kind of thing, and things that aren't normally shared, right? But there are many different groups out there, so I always say glean what you can from each group and make it yours. However, in this instance, we have a real life tribe living together and building together, much, much different. So more specifically, financially, from very little to significant, those that followed me into ARRR and some recent tokenized projects, we have influence over. Yes, we've done very well. In terms of trading, we have those two that have done well, of course, but that's a slower build. So the trading gumball service type thing, that's a category in itself. The crypto projects, that's a category in itself. The Traders Boot Camp, that's a category in itself. And by the way, the Traders Boot Camps are a wonderful way to get yourself integrated with other people in these communities. Even if you go back home to your community, whatever country you're from, we have traders from all over the world. And it's all about building those bridges. So that's one of the major opportunities in those boot camps. And in those boot camps, we can speak more freely. We can really share. You really get to know people on an intimate level. It's a totally different environment. The next one's 5 days, by the way. So it's an extensive period of time people are going to be together. Anyway, so here's what this trader said. He said, thanks. Was very late into ARR and DERO. So DERO was another one of them. They pronounce it DERO. I've heard it pronounced that way. I don't like that pronouncement. I like DERO. So he says, thanks, was very late into ARRR, which is really unfortunate, but it's not late, because when these start gapping, like I've done recent videos with our clients, our trading group, and the gaps on the privacy coins are going to be absolutely massive. And there's a reason why I'm very specific about DERO, right? If you look at the oildefi.io project, look at, like, I can't say it loud enough. Look at that white paper. Look at the architecture of the deal. Tokenization. There's very specific reasons why we did what we did. But anyway, DERO I'm very bullish on. I'm here to tell you, you're not late for any of these privacy coins. ARRR, DERO, XMR, and then our project in Oil DeFi and the ones that we got coming forward. I'm going to give you one quick example. When the markets go through the shocks that they're going to go through, because I'm telling you, there's going to be significant shocks. When those markets go through those shocks, and when crypto tanks, because crypto's going to tank and it's going to rocket, and it's going to tank and it's going to rocket, both sides of that are built into that white paper at oildefi.io. Because when it's tanking, the markets, doesn't matter what kind of market, or it's rocketing, we'll be reaping on both sides of that. You've got to read the architecture in that white paper. Anyway, so privacy coins, yes, and you're not too late. And then didn't jump in at AET until third round. Despite it tanking, I think that particular industry will pop once the infrastructure is normalized. So I have more to say about AET. I have a lot to say about AET, and I will say it in a very proper way, because I have no bones to pick with anybody. However, that is not a project that was under our control. Now, the people, our tribe that got in early, did well to a point. you have to be able to actually execute and exit, right? The off-ramp. Again, go back to the oildefi.io white paper. Look at it very closely. All the problems that come along with these tokenized projects, the shitcoins, all the different challenges are addressed in that white paper. If we haven't addressed it, tell me what we haven't addressed so that the next one in the aliensuite.net, we address it, right? So I can't let this video go too long, so I'm just going to read the rest of this. And then I'm going to come back to these points. So, till around, despite tanking, I think that particular industry will pop once the infrastructure is normalized, so I'm not too concerned about it, the current price. I'm not either. It's a wonderful industry, and if that specific tokenized project doesn't work, I think it will. It's not my style in terms of the way it's managed. Obviously, look at our white paper versus that or other things. But I think it's going to be fine. And even if it isn't, it's going to be fine, and I'll explain later why. Now, we're swapping our tribe into the oildefi.io, the whale coin, from that project. I have no obligation to do it, but we're doing it. And it would take time to understand how we're doing it, why we're doing it, more time than I have in this video. So, infrastructure is normalized, so I'm not concerned about the current price. Decided not to hesitate after missing out on others, so I'm glad. So I'm about to get into XOIL today. Fantastic. I'll guarantee you something about XOIL. That is a capped project. You gotta go into the white paper and understand it. I figure my piker buy will be better than losing it all to inflation and maybe open up some other opportunities in the future. I love this guy. This is awesome. I'm currently trying to connect with local farmers and ranchers. Okay, huge here, and within the next 12 months at the most. Huge. Like, we know some big farmers. I'm going to just get through this quick, and then I'm going to come back to these topics. And a smaller water filter company. Make friends out of doing business with them and attempt creating a tribe locally. Exactly what you got to do. I've been screaming that for 6 years on Twitter. I got on Twitter, told you this whole thing was going to happen. I've been screaming from the rooftops. I got to admit, I'm old and I'm getting tired of screaming. I can't scream anymore, and I'm really happy to hear this. This warms my heart. I glean what I can from other trading groups online, but much of what it seems to be very much insider info and not really sharing much of an edge. I'm sure part of that is also me not consistently having time to trade better, but still most people... Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, the best way to do this is to get into that Traders Bootcamp and get to know these traders. If you can't do it online. Like, reach out to me and say, hey, Kurt, look, the Traders Bootcamp, the people that were there, I'd really like to connect with them. The problem is that you're dealing with a trust factor, right? So these high net worth people or the Traders Bootcamp people, like, everybody has to be very cautious. Like, we are not, we're not, I think you know what I'm saying there. Like, I mean, I'm way out on the edge, way out on the limb just doing videos like this, right? But anyway, any way that I can help you, I will. But those boot camps, man, like, and if you can't afford them or whatever, reach out to us, do something. I'm sure, but don't like message me, because I get these messages all the time, like, I got no money, please finance my trading journey. Yeah, okay, my trading journey has been 33 years, right? I could just imagine the person that financed that. Anyway, I'm sure part of this is also me not consistently having time to learn to trade better, but still, most people seem to be selling a dream, not teaching competence or private. This is true. But still, most people seem to be selling a dream. Yeah. Not teaching competence or providing an edge. Aside from seemingly being of like mind, that's one of the reasons I've tried to stay in contact with you. You have outlier results and you've shown receipts. That's a super cool person. I got to tell you, like, that's a smart person. Anyway, I'm gonna do right by this message, these messages from this trader that reached out. And I'm gonna respond to all of it, but I got to stop the video there because I only have so much time on my particular schedule today. But I'm gonna tackle these specific topics. If you guys got questions, make sure you send them in. I'm just gonna let it all hang out. Peace and love.